The SAO Progressive Movie. Oh yes, I was able to catch it like, what, a month and a half early? So, non-spoiler review time. How was Kirito? How was Asuna? Did going back to the original SAO deliver? There is a lot to talk about, so go ahead and double blade that like, and be sure to ring the bell so YouTube actually notifies you. And a quick word from today's awesome sponsor, Boxu. Just in time to snack. I do really love the variety here. I mean, I've been living in Japan for like 3 years now, and it's actually allowed me to try some regional snacks I haven't gotten to yet. Boxu does partner with authentic Japanese snack makers to bring you delicious snacks. Some of these have been in business for over 100 years, and whether you like spicy, salty, or sweet, you get quite the variety to choose, like this spicy treat. Oh yeah, that hit the spot. On the flip side for sweet, how about one of these Japanese cookies? I'm sorry, they're so good, I already ate both of them. Delish. And one of these Boxu does actually make a great gift option. Like a few years back in college, I actually got one of these for my birthday. And honestly, with something so simple, I was over the fricking moon. So if you're ready for some authentic Japanese snacks, use my code Foxen10 to get 10% off your subscription from Boxu. This does include free US shipping straight from Japan. I'm definitely going to be eating all of these while editing this video. So tell me you're an Asuna fan without telling me you are. Just ignore the others. So I'm pretty happy, this starts extremely strong for Asuna. You get to see Asuna and her family, even Asuna's Oni-chan. You do get a taste of Asuna's troubles here, and her worries about the incoming future. You even see the origin of Asuna's trademark hairdo. So there is a ton to love with everything they do with Asuna in real life before actually getting into SAO. For a close comparison, a lot of this reminded me of what you saw with Mother's Rosario for Asuna. If anything, it does add this extra layer to Asuna that elevates future events. It does take its sweet time. You really do get to know Asuna and Mito. The entire thing is really chef's kiss. Honestly, the first hour of this makes you feel really nostalgic. I think a lot of you are going to be thinking, SAO Season 1 should have been kicked off this way. You get to truly see the SAO that Kayaba envisioned. SAO undoubtedly feels like an isekai. You got every single person living and breathing in this new world. Log out be damned. I really can't stress enough how the world building here is a wonderful breath of fresh air. At the same time, throughout this, you do get chills at the dangers of this new SAO reality. It almost feels like every single thing out there is trying to drain your HP to the last drop. You've seen that wolf crunching away at Asuna in the trailer. It feels and sounds 10 times worse on the big screen. Hell, there's a particular scene that feels straight out of Goblin Slayer. Bro, SAO can be scary. Apart from the action, one of the standout scenes for Asuna is really just seeing her worries all coming together and then everything crashing down. Not much dialogue is needed, it's really heightened by showing you visually. This SAO Progressive movie is titled Aria on a Starless Night, which spans the first floor in the original SAO Progressive light novel. Just to confirm, the entire hour and a half runtime is focused on the first floor. In case you're wondering, since I've still seen some confusion about how SAO Progressive connects to the original SAO anime, definitely check out my in-depth video breaking down SAO Progressive. That said, having seen the movie, you need to know this before going in. From everything, easily by far SAO Progressive has been my favorite storyline, since you not only get to see the original characters fleshed out, it pretty much gives equal love to Asuna and Kirito, ultimately going back to SAO being their story. So now turning to this movie, what you saw in the trailers actually may be a good indication of events to come. Unlike the light novels where they share roughly equal screen time, that is not the case in this movie, which I think is going to be a real shocker for SAO light novel readers. And trust me, I kept looking at my watch. 10 minutes, 25 minutes, 40 minutes. Oh, is Kirito even in this? Around the first hour, this can be seen almost entirely as Asuna's point of view. What was Asuna up to during the first episode up until the start of the second one? Which means you could pretty much add this on top of the first episode, additional content. You do have Kirito popping up in scenes here and there, but only briefly. And at this point, you might be seeing the disconnect here. Naturally, I had no issues with the focus being on Asuna, especially with SAO Season 3 cutting so many scenes of hers. But I could definitely see hardcore Kirito fans, or SAO fans in general, having issues with Kirito taking a backseat in the first hour. As for Mito, oh yes, the latest SAO trailer is the most revealing about her. Thankfully, that just makes it easier for me. I don't have to try to dance around spoilers. Yes, Mito and Asuna are friends before even diving into the SAO death game. Oh yes, Rem has gotten isekai'd into SAO, not like ReZero is using her. And I know what you're wondering, the colossal question on everyone's mind is, who is Mito? This great flavor girl is a completely new character added specifically for this movie. For hopefully obvious reasons, I gotta be vague here. Let me just say that Mito is a very lovely, flawed character. She does have this amazing chemistry with Asuna. On top of this, none of her actions ever felt forced to me. Although I'm already predicting certain story events surrounding her will leave some of you mixed. For me, her character and voice actress is a lovely addition to the SAO family. I mean, there's something that happens between her and Asuna that's subtle but extremely touching. And really props to her voice actress, she's got great range. She barely sounds like that demon maid. If I do want to guesstimate, Mito more or less has equal screen time to Kirito. By the way, figure when. I'm still waiting on that Quinella scale one. Then for Kirito. Funny enough, it feels like this guy's getting third billing here. You know I like Kirito, so it's not much a complaint given how much screen time he already got in SAOlicization. Still, how Kirito is handled is going to make some light novel readers question the choices. It didn't bother me while watching the movie, but since then I have been reflecting more and more on this. This SAO movie does kick off with a new scene that does include Kirito, but then he goes off to do his own stuff. You then really don't see him truly team up with Asuna until the raid kickoff meeting. I'm estimating that Kirito is in maybe a third of the movie, yet it feels a lot less since at times Kirito is not given too much to do, or the guy just happens to be in some scenes taking place, like the meeting. You've heard my thoughts before on how I feel that Kirito has been mistreated or sometimes outright shafted by the SAO anime. Let me not get that rant started again. Which is why at a minimum it does feel like a missed opportunity for him. I mean, why not flesh out Kirito? Given how much richness and development is shown for Asuna and Mito, why can't Kirito get some of that love in the anime? That said, to be fair, I could actually see this being an easy fix next movie / floor, maybe kicking off with a Kirito point of view flashback instead. Maybe include a certain gardening quest that Kirito was involved in, and truly flesh the guy out. I'm not holding my breath for this to actually happen, but it is an option. Hell, at this point I would take a Blu-ray only original animation. Let me just stress that this was actually not an issue for me while watching. Perhaps put a pin on this nitpick, although I really don't think I'm gonna be the only one who feels so much better could have been done for the Black Swordsman. And I don't know, maybe I've just been beaten down so much at this point, trying to explain it to people who bring up issues that are actually non-issues for SAO. Very likely just content the anime skipped. Especially when trying to talk to certain people who actually have an influence in the anime community, or the anime industry. But Jerry, didn't you say no rant? Right, so positive stuff for Kirito. I actually really like the subtle things you do see with him when he is with Asuna. Like this young kid screwing up, he's so freaking shy. In this movie, you do see subtle and defining quirks from both of them interacting. Another thing to love is that the movie does hammer down just how torn up Kirito is about the whole Klein situation. Sorry Klein, you're not a main character yet. Oh, and I do think they handled the Jack scene better at the end of the raid boss fight. Speaking of which, for Argo, Klein, Agio, Liz, and Tilica, they get like a quick cameo. Except for like Agio for obvious boss fight reasons. But touching specifically on Argo, since a ton of you are asking about her, I would highly just recommend that assume that Argo is not even in this. Otherwise, your heart's gonna be ripped apart. I do really love Argo, so I felt her missing. I just hope hardcore SAO fans don't hold it against Mito for this. For Kiba and not Eldry, I'll just say they're not too different than what you saw in episode 2. Anyway, switching to another positive, the animation. As any hardcore SAO fan will tell you, we've been eating good. Ever since that leap in animation for the first SAO movie, then we've gotten so many god tier animation scenes in the recent SAO Season 3. Out of all of the SAO so far, this most reminded me of SAO Ordinal Scale, which I would bet you that was intentional. Everything looks so gorgeous on the big screen, even on IMAX. You do see some wonderful display of sword skills. Emphasis on the art part. That said, even with that beefed up thick boss, I don't really think there was any true god tier animation scene. Nothing on the level of Berkoli or Goddess Asuna, which I will put it out there, I think we've been spoiled with so many great scenes last season. Which is not a loss. Overall, the raid boss look like day and night compared to the original SAO Season 1 fight. The actual floor fight itself is pretty long. The music, the animation, all this makes it much more intensive too. It really gave me a vibe of them fighting the Floor 74 boss. Talking about the music, Kuji Kajiura returns. Once again, you got me worshipping at the altar of this musical goddess. She does not miss. It felt like some of the soundtrack were updated and improved versions of past ones. Not to mention some new divine tunes for SAO. What had a great combo of new ones was easily what played during the boss fight. I can't wait for the full soundtrack to be released on day 1. Also, major props to the sound design. Oh my Stacia. From the sword skills activating to two swords clashing. It was bone chilling, especially in IMAX. It really sent me back to my SAO ordinal scale experience years back. Alright, so get over here, Lisa. She's back too. And in case you don't know, let me just mention how much I freaking adore Lisa. She's given us this embarrassment of riches. She's got quite the anime resume. I almost started this part saying that I want to really go see Lisa live someday. But technically I have a few times. I've just been to so many SAO events at this point where she's been there. Actually, while editing this video, I've been going down Lisa's soundtrack. The closest I think this new one sounds like is Saikai. So if you haven't, definitely give that a listen. But anyway, a lot of you are expecting Crossing Field 2. Sorry, just toss that out right now. Lisa's song here doesn't sound anything like it. It actually has a more ending feel to it. And maybe it's just a consequence of her own success. From her work on SAO, Demon Slayer recently, Fate. So let me just stress that while I don't think it's up there, I did like it. You know I'm going to be playing this non-stop when it comes out. We'll see where it lands. As for some other positives, I really did like the foreshadowing, or really just laying down the foundation to make future events that much more impactful. Like you might see a player do something in town or in a dungeon, and you're going to pick up on what that ties into right away. I also need to mention a certain fan service scene that is really well done. Light novel readers might know. Except how they pulled it off was so classy, it comes off more like a work of art. I might even wager that YouTube wouldn't ding you for showing it on screen. And for the entire hour-and-a-half runtime, I do think the movie is really well paced. There's practically no scenes that drag on. Alright, so tons of positives, now let's get into more sensitive matters. The SAO light novel, and there is a manga. Let me just tell you that on purpose, I did not reread the light novel or manga. I really didn't want to make this constant comparison while watching. For me, it has been a good while. I do vaguely recall the events, but I do think the manga and light novel stuff is just jumbled in my coconut. Not to mention, you know about the bajillion other isekai and fantasy light novels that I've read since. So did Kirito use explosion on the white whale? Then Asuna used her curse shield to block the thick skeleton magic. If you do have that stuff fresh, with all the skipped scenes, the cut content, and certain small and bigger changes towards the end, you're going to be instantly on the lookout. I mean, even with my vague recollection, I noticed this. The first hour does include a hell of a lot of new scenes for Mito, while the last, third includes some pretty significant changes. It just has me wondering, what is Reki planning long term? I actually really enjoyed the additions that were made to make the story tighter, and also add more weight to certain elements. At the same time, some of the bigger changes distracted me at times. You've heard me talk about before how the SAO story keeps on getting updated, SAO Progressive being a prime example. And hopefully more people just get used to at this point that SAO is this living document of a story. So what should you do? I actually might go as far as saying to not read the light novel before watching this. If you do love SAO, I do highly encourage you to read it, but hold off till after. Otherwise, whether you like or hate the changes, during the movie you're just gonna have this constant distraction taking your attention. I do actually suggest you rewatch episode 1. As a very huge positive here, the movie does seem to take more from the light novel than the manga. I didn't notice certain annoying manga only scenes. Gonna have to double check later. And by the way, if you do want to actually see this future comparison for the light novel and manga, let me know by smashing the like, and tell me below. If there's enough demand from you, it will happen. Come on, give me this awesome excuse to do another SAO video. Anyway, getting into some nitpicks, 2 mild ones. The first one really just involves some various scenes redone here. You're gonna be watching and waiting, expecting this more fleshed out version, but it doesn't happen. As a positive, at least there are some welcome updates like the Asuna Brett scene. And 2, I don't think I'm going to be the only one thinking about this. In a recent video, you heard me mention the anime movie situation. Business-wise, it just makes so much sense. Rona times aside, but since the movie, I have reflected a bit on this. I just can't help but wonder, how would this actually look as a TV anime? The movie right now is around 4.5 anime episodes, 5 rounding up. If you actually made this an even 6, that could have given you extra time to flesh out Kirito's point of view, like show Kirito training, show the guys inner struggles and doubts. I mean, just for me as a huge SAO fan, it would be really nice to have something to point towards, some version of this in the anime. I mean, you've likely seen it too. It is super frustrating when certain people write off Kirito when he's literally one of the most hardworking characters in current anime media. You know, I always like to ask, is this anime of the year? Cause just going into this movie, I thought, there is a really good chance. After coming out, I'm very satisfied, but I don't think it has that #1 spot for me. And I think it actually has less to do with this movie, more just this year being super jam-packed. But who knows, we'll see what happens. I'm going to be watching this, another 5-10 times? Anyway, should you watch? You might be like, Jerry, are you joking? Any hardcore Asuna and SAO fan definitely should on day 1. But please, keep in mind what I said about the changes, especially for SAO light novel readers. This is totally Asuna's movie. You get much more of Asuna to love, and another layer that makes her this excellent written character. Hopefully you get to see more of this even split between the two next floor to come. So let me know, how hyped are you for this movie? Are you happy hearing that you're going to be getting a ton of Asuna? Are you not so happy to hear about how Kirito is handled? And let me just say this, I think, unrelated to the actual movie itself. You might have heard me just quickly mention it or see my post about it, but I really haven't been feeling well these last 2 months. Not getting into the actual details, but it's just been everything going on around me, not related to the actual channel. Although the extra stress of getting these out weekly definitely hasn't helped. So what, another positive coming out of this movie made me extremely happy. So once again, thank you, SAO. Oh, and in case anyone's wondering about this potential sequel or post-credit, sorry, no post-credit, this is not Marvel. At least none for the early screening. That said, you do get tons of teases and foreshadowing throughout the movie. I would almost guarantee it that SAO will return. Not to mention the obvious second floor coming. As to whether that's going to be a TV anime or this movie route, I mean, SAO Original Scale already did great in theaters. Then the Blu-rays so like VR pancakes. Which is why I would keep my money on SAO Progressive keeping the movie around. Like 1 per floor. Maybe 1 every 1 or 2 years. And definitely consider giving Boxu a try. I've been munching away at their snacks editing this video. But anyway, more important, let me know how hyped you are. Do post any spoiler question or any question about the event down below. But don't forget, SAO is not the only anime coming out. Go ahead and check out my top hyped anime for the fall season. Just cross SAO off that list. Subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys later.